For this next video in the series, I'll be installing the rest of the fans into the case, as well as adding the radiators for water cooling. For the water cooling setup, I've decided to use Black Ice Nemesis 480 GTS XFLOW radiators. I wanted to make sure that I was using something that was pure copper to avoid galvanic corrosion, and these were some of the best value that I could find. So to start out, I need to remove these radiator supports, but those screws are really tight. I'll just use a screwdriver here to loosen those a little bit. Okay, that definitely makes it easier. So now I can unscrew these. And those lift up from the back and pull backwards to release. Now, as for the radiators, and like I said, I'm using these Black Ice ones. They're pure copper and got pretty good reviews for the price, so I think they'll be a good option here. They'll also fill the full length of those radiator supports. Just got to get through some of the packaging here. They actually pack these things pretty tightly. It's pretty difficult to slip this out of that outer cover. Anyway, opening that up, there is the radiator, and it really is massive. Before I actually screw them in place, I want to make sure they're going to fit, and it is going to be really tight. So I'll just place the support on top of here, get that lined up. Then I'm just going to partially insert a few of these short screws. So by having those loose, I can slide the radiator back and forth, see how I can fit it. It looks like that was the right decision. So I can slip the support in place and then push the radiator forward, and yeah, now that drops down. So I'm putting 4 of these Alphacool fans on each radiator. Got to fill all the slots, of course. Those are mounted with the long screws. I'm only getting those gently snug to make sure that the vibration dampening pads can do their job. If you over tighten on the pads, then they kind of become useless. Alright, so those are in place now. So I'll just put that back in, see how things fit. As long as it's all right where it needs to be, I'll put in the rest of those short screws and tighten down the radiator. Slip that forward, drop the back in. That's all looking good. Alright, so now I'm just putting the rest of the short screws in. Okay, so there's the second radiator, all put together with its fans. Flip that over, put the support on. And again, just partially inserting a few screws so that I can easily slip it back and forth. Get all those wires dropped in. This is going to be a pretty big mess to sort out. Forward and drops right in. And now just get the rest of these screws in. That's nice and tight now. So I'll just put the top cover of the case back on. Get that screwed in place. And there's the whole setup with 8 upward facing fans and 2 massive radiators. These RGB lights, they daisy chain, so that'll at least help with some cable management. We'll figure out the rest later. And for now, that is the progress on the whole Mega PC. And things are already starting to come together. I think it's going to turn out really, really nicely.